Well, obviously I can't cut them out entirely. If I did that, so much would change. The God Tree was what created chakra in the first place, though I must say it would be interesting to dive into a world where only Sage Chakra existed. And before you say impossible, you need actual chakra to mix with it, I would remind you that canonically Sage Chakra predates actual chakra, as the Toad Sages were using it before Hagaromo Otsutsuki introduced chakra to the world. But still, I'm not going to tell that story today. Instead, I plan to remove their influence past what we require to get chakra up and running. So that will likely be sometime after Kaguya eats the chakra fruit, but will likely stop them there, opting to have the God Tree destroyed by Hagoromo instead of absorbed by Kaguya. That sounds like the best way to do it. That way we can maintain the continuity without changing much, isolating the tailed beasts, removing them and only them from the story. Oh, I'm already excited. So let's get into it. But first, welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, we publish a new video every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Also, be sure to check if you are still subscribed. YouTube lately has been unsubscribing people for whatever reason, and we just want to make sure that you don't miss out on any more of our videos. The Amagi's reach stretches beyond just this channel, so if you're a fan of us, please consider subscribing to our other channels and following us on all of our social media. Help us reach our goal of passing 100,000 followers on all of our accounts by the end of the year. With that out of the way, let's get to the video proper. The best place to start would, of course, be the beginning. So we start off in the distant past, about 1,000 years prior to the start of the story. Two strange beings known as Otsutsuki arrive on Earth. They find the planet fertile and teeming with natural energy and life. It's here that they plan to plant a god tree that will siphon the energy and produce a chakra fruit. We'd come to learn from Amato later on in the series that Kaguya and Ishiki were low rankers, and were really only here to produce one and then take it back to a member of the main branch. Due to the new information we've got, they were likely going to bring the fruit back to Shibai Otsutsuki, the as of yet mysterious Otsutsuki god who may or may not be of this world any longer, if Amato's correct. Funny enough, this makes Kaguya, also known as the Rabbit Princess, nothing more in Otsutsuki culture than a lowly farmer. But as you would know it, Kaguya was not content with that, and decided to hijack the operation, attempting to kill Ishiki, leaving him for dead. Ishiki, of course, crawled into Jigen's ear like a bad song and stayed there forever, taking over his body. Kaguya, on the other hand, devoured the fruit and opened a third eye, her Rinne Sharingan, which granted her amazing powers. She cast the infinite Tsukiyomi to put all under Genjutsu and turned many of them into Zetsu. However, she didn't wish to see all people perish, so she freed a few and wiped their memories of what had happened, and let life on the planet continue. Turns out she was preggers and didn't even know it. She gave birth to two sons, Hagoromo and Hamada Otsutsuki. These two were the first people born with chakra, Kaguya's chakra, and that isn't gonna fly. Kaguya tolerated it for a time, allowing them to keep her chakra, but she slowly began to sink into depravity, and the twins began to distance from her and at times even oppose her. And that betrayal led to her deciding that it was time to take back what she had given to them. And this led into a massive battle. Normally, it's here that Kaguya would merge with the God Tree to form the Ten Tails. However, we're gonna cut that out here. For all intents and purposes, let's say that Hagoromo hews it down or destroys it. I assume that he can do that anyway. This would release the natural energy back into the world. Hagoromo and Hamada would likely still seal away Kaguya, but just because I really want nothing to do with the tailed beasts or Kaguya, we'll say that they do it in another dimension, similar to how they did at the end of Shippuden. And so, with the tailed beast gone, we will begin to see changes in the world. Hagoromo will begin to distribute chakra through people, creating what would be known as ninshu, a way of using your chakra to bond with and understand one another. As we move forward, a large difference occurs. Since there is no tailed beast or ghetto statue to guard, Hamada remains on Earth. He, along with his brother, are known as the Sages of Six Paths, and are venerated by all until both of their eventual deaths at an old age. Prior to this, however, Indra and Asura Otsutsuki are tested by their father and uncle. Both are tasked with helping a land deal with their god tree issue, as a new god tree has appeared in both of their lands and they must be destroyed. Indra does so with speed and manages to return triumphantly. His brother takes far longer to complete the task, but eventually does. He returns as well, and when he does, he returns amidst an entourage. After examining the two lands, it's determined that the land Indra was responsible for is in disarray, a war for what little water there was, having broken out over the removal of the god tree. Many people died. Asura was shown, however, that his land prospered, and more lives were being brought into the world every day. The sick were getting better, the land was full of crops, and there was water aplenty for everyone. Now, if you think we're just gonna stiff Indra here, you're mistaken. Even Hagoromo admitted that he was wrong to do that to Indra. Instead, this merely reveals strengths and weaknesses. Both Indra and Asura are given 6 Paths Chakra and are named the Sages of the 6 Paths. Now, Hamada's children aren't named as of yet because as it stands, they aren't ready. They're still children. With both Indra and Asura as the new sages, Hagoromo and Hamada instruct them to learn from one another. Asura needs to learn strength, which Indra has in spades, and Indra needs to learn empathy, which is Asura's strongest suit. Together they will balance out and become a yin and yang dyad, both equally important. This actually halts the conflicts within the clan, and when the Senju and Uchiha are formed, they remain close. Time would come that war would eventually break out though, as when a hammer is given to man, he will either use it to pound nails or crack skulls, and this is a result of just this thing. Time passes, and Hagoromo and Hamada, and even Indra and Asura are lost to the tides of time, leaving behind only a lasting legacy. Suddenly, the Warring States period begins. It is a time of upheaval and strife, so much so that the death that follows rivals the Shinobi World Wars. However, due to the closeness of their founders, the Uchiha and Senju are barely considered separate clans. They are close, the Uchiha having never been cursed with the hatred of Indra. And with the two clans together, they stand as a superpower that many of these scattered villages among the warring states can't even dare to touch. It's through this, a joint coalition, that the warring states end. All of Hashirama and Tobirama's brothers survive, as does Madara's brother Izuna. Together they form the first shinobi village, Konohagakure, the village hidden in the leaves. Many of the other clans begin to form their own hidden villages. Standing at the head of Konoha would be both Hashirama Senju and Madara, the heads of their respective clans. Together they are the Hokage, the Fire Shadows. Hashirama, much like his previous incarnation Asura, would be the voice of reason to counter Madara's voice of doom. Still, despite their differences in philosophy, they maintain a healthy and almost brotherly relationship. Having stayed together as friends and having given each other plenty of chakra in the past, the two would easily gain their respective sides of 6 Paths Chakra. Madara would achieve the Rinnegan, and Hashirama would receive 6 Paths Sage Mode. Now, I know what you're thinking. Madara wouldn't get the Rinnegan immediately, as it took him years to gain, only getting it a few years before meeting Obito. Yes, I know he literally transplanted the boy's face onto his flawless pecs, but I mean true, undiluted chakra from Hashirama Senju. If they both share, I have almost no doubt that they would both awaken their specific 6 Paths abilities at the same speed in which Naruto and Sasuke did. That being said, the First Shinobi World War would begin, and it would begin fairly quickly due to there being no tailed beasts to divide among the nations in hopes of forming some kind of deterrence. It begins quickly, but it ends just the same. Hashirama is never killed because he gets a massive boost that makes him a near unparalleled warrior. I would also see Tobirama surviving this war as well due to 2 facts. Tobirama likely has Izuna Uchiha on his squad, and he doesn't have to face off against the Kinkaku force. After this war is a short period of peace. However, none could enjoy that peace as a period of economic depression began, and it wasn't something that even Hashirama could pull them out of. The entire world was this way. It's during this time that Hashirama would abdicate the role of Hokage, hoping to pass the torch to the next generation, as does Madara. They pass the Hokage's office down to Hiruzen and Danzo Shimura, both of whom hold office for a great many years. The Second Shinobi World War would start about 20 years after the last. The strain on the economy, along with the emotional scars left by the First War, blossom into a new war. During this war, Hashirama and Madara came out of retirement for a time alongside Tobirama to help fight and lead, but in the end, the reins of the nation are in the hands of Danzo and Hiruzen. Hiruzen was always a soft man and lacked the emotional and mental fortification to continue the slaughter. Danzo's cruelty mixed with Hiruzen's weakness are the perfect storm for people to want a new leader. Despite all of this, the legendary Sannin, Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru would be hailed as heroes of the war, with Jiraiya electing to remain behind to protect and teach Nagato, Konan, and Yahiko. He would, under the guise of training them to be shinobi, teach them how to live on their own, but things take a dark turn. They're assaulted by an Iwanin, and in the scuffle, fearing for his friends' lives, Nagato would jump in the way and take a fatal shot meant for Yahiko. Jiraiya shows up on the scene not long after and personally dispatches the Iwanin. Nagato dies in his arms. This event scars Yahiko and Konan forever, and Jiraiya decides to take their shinobi training seriously, teaching them jutsu and making them strong enough to defeat one of his shadow clones in a duel. When that happens, he bids the children farewell and leaves. During the 10-year span between the end of the second and the start of the third, Madara would have died of old age, along with the natural wear and tear that his body had seen over the course of many years, and his Rinnegan were taken and held for later possible use in a hidden facility within Konoha. The Third Shinobi World War would take place. Hashirama would survive to see the Third World War, but would be far too old to do much of anything. During this war, one of Fugaku's close friends perishes, and he develops the Mangekyo Sharingan. Itachi would also witness the death firsthand and would take on a pacifistic view. Minato would come to be the head of a new shinobi team consisting of Kakashi Hatake, Obito Uchiha, and Rin Nohara. It would be during this time frame that Hashirama Senju and Tobirama Senju would likely pass away of old age. During the time they're in Minato's squad, Kakashi quickly jumps from Genin to Chunin, leaving Obito behind. Obito also manages to make it to Chunin, but his victory is overshadowed when Kakashi jumps to Jonin. It's during this war and during the Kanobi Bridge mission, Kakashi is chosen to lead while Minato is out on another mission. During this mission to the Kanobi Bridge, however, Rin Nohara is captured by Iwanin, and this causes a schism between Kakashi and Obito. In times past, Kakashi has declared his Nindo to be never letting his friends down. However, after the suicide of his father, a man who chose his friends over the mission, Kakashi had forever changed to be a by-the-book shinobi who cared for mission above everything. This was not something Obito could handle, and so he rushed off to save Rin, knowing full well that he wasn't as strong or prodigious as Kakashi. It was his words to Kakashi that shook him. In the ninja world, those who break the rules and laws are regarded as scum, but those who would abandon even one of their friends are even worse than scum. Kakashi would turn around and put the Kanobi Bridge mission on hold, allowing him to aid Obito in saving Rin. Kakashi loses an eye, but Obito awakens his Sharingan, which allows him the strength he needs to kill Taiseki, one of the two Iwanin responsible for Rin's capture. Together, Kakashi and Obito rush into the cave and face off against Kako. They drive him out and rescue Rin, but as he escapes, Kako would cause a massive collapse that would bring down the cave. This causes Kakashi to be hit in the head by a rock that he could not see due to the loss of his eye. Obito turns back to save Kakashi and in the end is crushed by a rock. They try to dig Obito out, but he's caught. In turn, to give him a gift that he had failed to do during the time he became a Jonin, he gives Kakashi his Sharingan. Kakashi begrudgingly accepts and then further vows to Obito to protect Rin as he was asked. The rest of the cave collapses, and as they escape, Kakashi comes up like a bat out of hell, having finally completed his Chidori technique through use of his Sharingan. And through use of this technique, he manages to fight off Kako and the many Iwanin he had called for. He continues to fight until he passes out, but he lasted just long enough for Minato to return. Once Kakashi wakes up, what's left of Team Minato goes to destroy the Kanobi Bridge. They succeed, and this serves as the last nail in the coffin that forces the victory for Konoha. Everything thereafter is just a formality. It's during this formality that one would normally have Rin captured by the mist, but unlike before, I don't see that happening, as Madara was using that to manipulate Obito. Madara is dead by this point, so I doubt it would happen. The war comes to a close. Elsewhere, Yahiko and Konan, after everything, decide to form a mercenary group that's in the business of war to end war as a business. They dedicate their entire organization to Nagato, who sacrificed his life to protect theirs. His sacrifice is a rallying tool for the Akatsuki, a group of people who are willing to give their own lives to save the lives of others. This group becomes very big as more shinobi join their noble cause every day. However, Hanzo of the Salamander is beginning to worry about the power they're amassing, especially the threat to his own power. Hanzo would offer to meet with them, and the moment they show up, he springs a trap to kill them. And since Nagato isn't there, nor would he have the Rinnegan if he were, Hanzo utterly destroys them. The entirety of the village hidden in the rain would have a raid all at once, killing any and all Akatsuki members. With the end of the Third Shinobi World War, after various scandals due to Hiruzen giving into a peace treaty, as well as documented instances of Danzo being a really creepy dude, the time comes for a new set of Kage to be chosen, as Hiruzen and Danzo are pretty much forced to step down. The choice Hiruzen wanted was Orochimaru, but the old snake in the grass is just too evil, and so he passes up on him. Instead, he chooses one of Jiraiya's students, Minato Namikaze, and at his side, Fugaku Uchiha. Both men have a healthy respect for one another and vow to lead the village as best they can. Kakashi at this time is in the Anbu. He still has Rin, but he can't shake the loss of Obito. A strange dynamic has begun here. Rin has confessed her love to Kakashi, and Kakashi has accepted. But the issue with that is that Kakashi is caught between what he wants and what Obito would want. Obito is dead and can't be with her, and given that he can't be with her, Kakashi knows Obito would want Kakashi to be with Rin instead, but at the same time, Kakashi can't help but feel that he doesn't deserve her. And since he's stuck with these feelings, the best he can do is occupy himself with work and limit the amount of time he takes around the village trying to avoid Rin. This puts a strain on his and Rin's relationship, but such a thing isn't healthy for such a budding romance. And so Minato orders Kakashi to guard Kushina while she's pregnant with Naruto. Elsewhere, Mikoto Uchiha has just given birth, and they decide to name the boy Sasuke. Itachi is now an older brother. Eventually the time comes and Naruto is born, and wouldn't you know it, nothing bad happens. No Madara, no tailed beasts, no Obito. This is shaping up to be a wonderful story, right? Let's keep going. Naruto is born and raised with loving care by Minato and Kushina, and the reverse is true for Sasuke. Naruto and Sasuke would know each other from an early age and likely become close friends right out of the gate due to their fathers working together in the highest seat in the land. They would often play together, and given that both of their fathers continue to live, Naruto would indeed be trained by his father, managing many feats including the multi-shadow clone and the Rasengan quite quickly. Sasuke would want to be trained by Itachi, but Itachi is generally busy and merely doesn't want to let Sasuke follow him down such a dangerous road. However, given that his father is one of the two village heads, Sasuke would end up being trained by a very powerful shinobi. On top of this, elsewhere, another important event is happening. Now, considering that Hamada stayed on Earth with Hagoromo, the Hyuga clan looks a little different. First off, Hinata Hyuga is in a secondary branch of the Hyuga as opposed to the main one. The reason for that is because there is another clan leader. His name is Tenmu. If you don't know this name, that's because I made it up. This character never received a name, but his son, you'll know him. The heir to the seat of the Hyuga clan is none other than a young boy named Toneri Otsutsuki. Though I guess his name is Toneri Hyuga now. Toneri was born at around the same time as Naruto and Sasuke, but he was an extraordinary child, possessing a wondrous dojutsu known only as the Tenseigan. The dojutsu had only once been previously known to appear, and the person who had it was Hamada, one of the sages of the Six Paths. Recognizing the child as possibly the reincarnation of Hamada himself, it is seen as a good omen, and that life in Konoha will continue to be peaceful and prosperous. And from an early point in his life, Toneri is groomed not only to lead the Hyuga clan, but to one day be one of the two Kage. The hope is that the other sage, Hagoromo, will soon be born, and so all eyes turn to the Uchiha clan in hopes that a child bearing the Rinnegan, much like Madara had, would be born. But no such child has been born. This leaves a bit of worry in the leaf that perhaps this isn't a good omen, but Minato and Fugaku don't see it that way. In the past, they had believed that Madara was one of the sages and Hamada had not appeared then. They believed that most in the leaf were overthinking their superstitions. The Hyuga clan began to grow ceremonious with their actions, the child becoming the pride of their existence. Things would also get a little tighter. The boys are trained to become the highest tier of warriors, and the girls would be trained to be the most well-mannered servants of all. And together they all bear the same curse mark above their head with pride, proving to the world that you may take their lives, but you will never take their clan dojutsu. Toneri, on the other hand, is just a playful kid who, while well-mannered and intense in his studies, loves to play. And among those he loves to play with is Hinata and Neji. Neji is he and Hinata's senior by a few years, but they're all very close. Still, Neji has some resentment. He doesn't like the curse mark, and what's worse, the adults stop him and Hinata from playing with Toneri, which upsets all three. They don't think that Hinata or Neji are worthy to so casually play with Toneri, nor do they think Toneri should be doing anything besides study and train. So he's not as happy as he could be. Time passes and they go into the academy. Naruto and Sasuke are both studying and getting near perfect grades due to the resources they previously had. But then again, them becoming genin was a foregone conclusion. They easily pass the test and enter the world of the Shinobi. They're assigned to Team 7, their Jonin is Kakashi, and Kakashi himself is a bit different by this point. Having gotten past his feelings with Rin Nohara, he ended up finalizing the deal and marrying her. Not only that, but they had just had a baby not too much earlier than this. Their baby's name? Hoki. Yes, I'm going there. That kid from Boruto that just happens to look like Kakashi, I am headcanoning that he is Kakashi's son. Maybe he states that he's just a big fan, but nah, I still think he's Kakashi's kid. Kakashi is sent to be Team 7's Jonin. He would get to know them, asking what they want. Sakura never changes much in these what-ifs, so you know what she still wants. Naruto of course wants to be Hokage, and Sasuke wants to be the other Hokage, but only after Itachi gets a crack at it. Just then, he would give them a bell test. So they go out to the training yard. There they would begin the test, and Naruto and Sasuke right out of the gate are going for those bells. Kakashi needs to play it a little more seriously to stay ahead of them. Slowly, the more they attack and the more he defends, the quicker they learn and come up with new strategies. Naruto and Sasuke, due to their previous friendship, manage to have really good teamwork, and they're sure to include Sakura, though she rarely has a chance or reason to attack Kakashi as she would only get in their way. Kakashi passes them due to their teamwork. They'd begin doing small jobs as is mandatory for Genin, but due to special circumstances of the team, a new job is quickly sent their way, guarding Tazuna on the crossing to the Land of Waves. Almost as soon as they leave, they're attacked by the Demon Brothers, but these two are no match for Naruto and Sasuke, who are both easily chunin level already, just under the rank of Genin. Kakashi's like, hold up though. There was nothing in the job description about possible assassins. Kakashi is slightly considering going back as he doesn't want the Hokage's sons in danger. Of course, Naruto and Sasuke persuade him not to bother, and they continue on, eventually meeting Zabuza. Zabuza stands against them, planning to kill Tazuna, but Kakashi engages him in combat. Realizing that his opponent is a former member of the 7 Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist, he orders his team to stay back while he fights, but Kakashi ends up stuck in a water prison, and both Sasuke and Naruto break from orders, which both angers Kakashi and makes him proud at the same time. They aren't really complete matches for Zabuza all by themselves, but with guile and secrecy, the true weapons of a shinobi, they manage to break Kakashi free. Naruto transforms into a Demon Wind Shuriken and Sasuke throws it, but in the shadow of the first, he throws a second. Zabuza is sure that he knows this is the trick, but he doesn't expect Naruto to transform from one of the shuriken and throw a kunai himself. Zabuza has no choice but to let Kakashi go, as he knows he will die if he keeps standing there like a lump. He moves, but in doing so frees Kakashi. This is when Zabuza knows that his goose is cooked. It's then that Haku would throw his Senbon and incapacitate Zabuza, forcing him into a near-death-like state. He would take Zabuza's body away under the guise of a hunter nin, believing that Kakashi will expect this to be nothing more than rogue shinobi being claimed by a hunter nin. But Kakashi is far more perceptive than they give him credit for, and not just because he possesses the Sharingan. He knows that this isn't standard operating procedure for a hunter nin. The SOP is to never move the body, but to break it up on the spot. Dispose of everything and leave no trace. Live in obscurity, die in obscurity. Such is the life of a shinobi. They continue on to Tazuna's home, where Kakashi needs to rest up from use of his Sharingan. He orders his team to train. Normally, they would be asked to run up a tree, but they all know that by this point, so he just tells them to spar and train that way, which they do. They also have dinner, and they're introduced to a small boy named Inari, who lost his father to Gato's cruelty. The young boy explains that they're all idiots and that there are no heroes. Tazuna would explain to them the story of Kaiza, the last hero of the Land of Waves. He tells them how Inari had been bullied when he was younger and how his dog nearly drowned. He tells them how he was rescued by Kaiza, who had slowly become like a father to him. He speaks of the time when a great flood came and Kaiza tried to protect the animals, putting himself in harm's way to do so. Kaiza was a hero to many people in the Land of Waves and was a symbol of hope for human kindness and bravery. That was why Gato decided to have him publicly executed in the most painful and humiliating of ways just to prove a point. This is what happens to people who stand against Gato. Inari had to watch it all and it scarred him. It changed his life forever. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and even Kakashi were stunned. They didn't know what to say. Only Kakashi could really identify with the boy, especially since his father had also perished due to being a hero. But nonetheless, it wasn't Kakashi's place to do such a thing. None of Team 7 could relate in any way. It was just a sad truth and another reason to fight. They would eventually wake up later on and go visit the bridge and its construction, guarding all the workers as it was built. That is when Zabuza and Haku showed up, just as they remembered. Zabuza had chosen Kakashi as his opponent and left Haku to deal with the rest. Naruto and Sasuke were both there, and that meant that nobody was guarding Inari and Tsunami, meaning that they were captured by Gato's men. On top of that, Sasuke and Naruto together are fighting Haku, and Sasuke has yet to awaken his Sharingan. Both are trapped in his demonic mirroring ice crystals technique. Senbon are coming at them like bonkers, and they're managing to hold their own. I'd like to think that through that, the combat of the moment awakens Sasuke's Sharingan. If so, I could see Sasuke being capable of at least defending himself well. Naruto would need a second, and so Sasuke would launch a fireball jutsu. Haku would assume that this was a sad attempt to melt the mirrors, but he's wrong. It was merely cover, as he would then see Naruto coming at him with a Rasengan the moment the fire dissipates. Naruto smashes the mirror with the Rasengan and knocks Haku back. Naruto and Sasuke, free from the technique, would rush Haku, but Haku's speed is through the roof. Sasuke can see him moving, but can barely keep up. They would manage to hold him off for a while, but when Kakashi is about to stab Zabuza, Haku comes right in and takes the shot. Of course, everyone's shocked, but Zabuza isn't. And considering how Haku was treated and the way that he only found a real family member through Zabuza, Haku was a simp in 4K, and proud of it too. Made me all weepy when he kicked the bucket. Apparently it made Zabuza feel that way too, as the moment he sees Haku dead, he puts on a smile, but goes hog wild on Gato when he abuses Haku's body. And that won't stop here. Zabuza doesn't care about Inari or Tsunami, so them being hostages wouldn't change much. Kakashi, though, being a husband and father himself these days, would use this moment of chaos as cover to get to where Inari and Tsunami are to save them. Once he had done that, he'd go back and watch the soon-to-be-late Zabuza and later the villagers deal with Gato's little mob. After completing the bridge, Team 7 would return to Konoha. There, they would run into Kankuro, Temari, and Gaara. Kankuro and Temari would be a little hostile, but Gaara, on the other hand, is an open fellow. He isn't very expressive, but he enjoys being in a new place. Due to the fact that there weren't any tailed beasts, Gaara's mother never died in childbirth, and his father never sent his uncle to kill him. For all intents and purposes, Gaara grew up much like Kankuro and Temari and lived rather carefree. Basically, think how Gaara was after being revived and losing Shukaku. That's what Gaara is now. A Gaara that's all fluff minus the trauma. Temari and Kankuro would be picking on Konohamaru and his friends when Naruto and Sasuke show up to stop them. But before a fight begins, Gaara shows up and commands his siblings to stop. Kakashi would inform them that they can take the chunin exams. They would go to do so, but Rock Lee would stop and challenge Naruto to a fight. He chooses Naruto due to Naruto being the son of Minato, who most people still believe is stronger than Fugaku, or at least is better known due to the feats that earned him the name the Yellow Flash of the Leaf. They half expect Naruto to be as fast, and while Naruto is definitely faster than Sasuke, his reaction time is slower due to not possessing a Sharingan. And thus, Naruto gets bodied by Lee, or at least he would have if Might Guy didn't show up to talk some sense into him. After this, Team 7 makes their way to enter the chunin exams. The first test is, of course, a written exam. Naruto would manage to answer a few confidently, though the rest were more problematic. Still, he quickly surmised that the goal was to cheat without being noticed. The issue with that is that he didn't possess a Sharingan with which to do it. In the end, though, it all boils down to who takes the final question. The final question being a decoy. It was just to test who has guts. Given Naruto's dream is to become Hokage, which really doesn't need anything above Genin. People forget that Naruto is still technically a Genin as Hokage right now. I assume he takes it. They would all pass and move on to the Forest of Death. All things considered, Orochimaru likely doesn't need Sasuke's body, as there are so many other Uchiha who may be better. So Orochimaru wouldn't show up here, and given Naruto and Sasuke's skill level, it would be likely that they would just do like Team Gaara and blitz. The next would be the exhibition matches. Practically nothing about the first round changes at all, except Sasuke can use ninjutsu and doesn't have to rely upon taijutsu alone. Naruto also beats Kiba with a more dignified technique. Probably Rasengan. Oh, and Gaara doesn't break Rock Lee's bones. From here, they are allowed 1 month off to train. Naruto would return home, and the person set up to train him by his father is none other than Jiraiya, who has decided to teach him Sage Mode. As for Sasuke, Itachi would be the one teaching him. After the month has passed, they return to the Leaf to proceed with the second round of the exhibitions. The first match is Naruto v Neji. Naruto has trained a long time for this, and he manages to beat Neji. Having trained with Jiraiya and inheriting his father's speed and techniques, I could see him just straight up blitzing him. Sasuke faces off against Gaara, but also out-blitzes him, much like how Naruto out-blitzed Neji. However, before they have a chance to do anything, Orochimaru attacks the Kage's viewing box with a smoke bomb, and Kabuto puts everyone to sleep with his Temple of Nirvana technique. During this time, Orochimaru attacks the two Kage, Fugaku and Minato. Orochimaru possesses a Sharingan in this state too, and he is certain not to pull any punches as he summons the Edo Tensei of Madara Uchiha and Hashirama Senju. Orochimaru still knows that this is a lost cause though, as the Edo Tensei is never as strong as the living version. The real goal of this all along had nothing to do with the Kage, though that would be a good bonus objective to complete. The true goal was that the Sound 4 and Kimimaro were escaping from the stadium now with Toneri. They were racing straight for Otogakure with him. Naruto, Sasuke, and various others would go after them in a very similar fashion to the Sasuke recovery arc. In the end, they had managed to catch up with Kimimaro, who is still very much stronger than they are. However, it's only when Toneri wakes up and activates his Tensaigan that Kimimaro is defeated. Possessing true Sage Chakra, Toneri activates his own form of 6-path Sage Mode. While Tensaigan doesn't have all the abilities of the Rinnegan, it does possess quite a few, including a stronger version of the Diva Path, Puppet Empowerment, and, as it seems, 6-path Sage Mode. Through use of his 6-paths Chakra mode, he absolutely stomps a hole into Kimimaro, and so Orochimaru leaves empty-handed. So moving forward, Tsunade never needs to be recruited because Minato isn't dying to Orochimaru, nor is Fugaku, specifically because Minato's there. There is no Sasuke recovery arc, as Sasuke never leaves the village. There may be a time skip, but it isn't like they're training super hard over it. There's no Kazekage rescue arc, no Tale of Jiraiya the Gallant or Two Brothers arc, there is no Pain arc, no 5 Kage Summit, and there is no 4th Shinobi World War. So let's assume that everything really does remain peaceful. It can't last forever, as eventually Momoshiki and Kinshiki will return to Earth. And when they do, will everyone be ready? A lot of the strength Naruto and the others displayed was based solely upon their past struggles that pushed them forward, but none of that's here. At most, we would have Toneri, who may be of the strength of 6-path Sage Mode Naruto post-war arc. He would be trained by the Hyuga extensively and likely possesses many techniques, like Gentle Fist. That could help him a lot. Considering that the Tensaigan is the upgrade of the Byakugan, it only seems that its powers have grown stronger. So I could see Toneri possibly beating Momoshiki. After all, Toneri spent all of his time alone on the moon with nobody but puppets and still managed to be as strong as Naruto. So what would happen if he had actually trained? 3 weeks of push-ups and the dude solos Ishiki. I mean, that's with the thought that maybe he didn't train, but even if he did, it wouldn't be as effective if nobody was around. And so maybe Toneri's birth was a good omen for Konoha. And let's also wonder, what if somehow Kaguya came back? Well, the thing is, she was beaten by turning her into the moon, basically, and Toneri's whole thing is the moon, so maybe he wins? Especially considering that no tailed beasts exist in this little AU we've made, she wouldn't have the entirety of the Ten Tails power. The difference between Ten Tails Madara and Ten Tails Kaguya is the same as between base Madara and base Kaguya. I know that she is strong, but I don't think her base form would beat Madara's Ten Tails form, so I highly doubt that she'd beat Toneri, who is as strong as the guy who could beat Madara. I just feel that if Toneri is on Earth and among humans, then he would likely be able to solo and just defeat everyone if no tailed beasts existed. The question though is if the inter-clan war that occurred on the moon would occur here as well. If so, and Toneri didn't feel the Earth was worthy, he would likely have destroyed it. However, if he realizes that Hamada wanted the Earth to be safe, he would likely continue protecting it. Anyway, that's what I think. Boy, it really is weird to end it like this, considering that we did almost nothing with the Shippuden era. But then again, what could we have done? Most of Shippuden focused on things that don't exist here. No tailed beasts, no Akatsuki. Even if Black Zetsu managed to get Madara's sealed Rinnegan, the best he could do is summon a weakened Kaguya who would likely be defeated by Toneri. But what do you think? Do you agree with this what if? And if not, what do you think would change? Leave a comment below and tell us what you think, as well as other videos you might like to see. Leave a like and a subscription if you haven't already, and ring the bell to be notified when more content like this drops. Peace out.